Hello, welcome to Verbling. I'm teacher Oakley. Sorry for the little bit of a late start today. Technical problems, but I'm on now, and welcome to Verbling. Welcome to the class. Please join me in this class for the next hour. We're going to be talking about Toefl, the Toefl standardized English assessment exam. More specifically, we'll talk about TOEFL in general, but more specifically, TOEFL speaking. I'll give you an overview of what the exam is like, and then I'll review scoring points, a basic scoring rubric we'll take a look at. And then keeping in mind those points from the scoring rubric, we'll talk about some basic tips to help you get a better score on the TOEFL exam. Because this is a general introduction class, please feel free to interrupt me, ask me any questions related whatsoever in any way related to TOEFL or comparing TOEFL and IELTS or about anything regarding TOEFL, please. Okay, let me welcome students to the class. Hello, Hogan.
Hi, how are you? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay.
Hi. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. And how are you? I think this might be my last class today. It's
Oh, really?
almost at night. Yeah, just before bed.
Okay. Well, advanced good night to you. Okay. Anyway, welcome to the class. And let me also welcome Rebecca. Hi, Rebecca.
Hello, how are you?
Good. How are you doing? Long time no see.
Yes, I'm doing well, thank you. I think you have been on holidays.
I have.
Yeah, you told us weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm back. Hi, I'm back.
Yeah, I see. How was it? Good? Did you enjoy? What? You are thinking about it, come on.
Yeah, well, it was a vacation sponsored by Murphy's Law. Do you know Murphy's Law?
No? Who or what is that?
Okay, Murphy's Law. Okay, this is a common idea in English culture, English-speaking culture. If somebody
Okay.
invokes Murphy's Law, that's the idea that anything that can go wrong will go wrong, and it will go wrong at absolutely the worst possible time.
So, that was your holiday?
Basically, yeah.
Oh, come on, really? Be positive.
Well, I can be positive. I learned a lot, and I was interesting, and it was worth the experience. But that's what it was, really. It was like an experience.
An experience. May I ask where have you been?
Just very briefly, I traveled in the Philippines, but I traveled a long distance, like 1,000
Okay, good.
kilometers.
Yeah, another
Yeah.
view of the country. Nice.
Right. And I traveled a winding path through many islands and got to see a lot of the country, a major portion of the country, which was great. However, there was problems with the transportation, flat tires, late buses, ferries, boats. I went on some ships. The ships didn't work, so I got stuck in port for 6 hours. Lots of transportation problems. I finally got to my friend's house, and he became very sick and had to be taken to the hospital.
Really? Come on, I can't believe it. Really?
Yeah, the next day after I got there. He has a wife with a very small baby, and no babies are allowed in the hospitals in the Philippines. So I had to stay with him for like 5 days.
On your holiday.
In the hospital.
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
you're right. It was Murphy's Law. Yes, it was.
Yeah. And he has like no money, so I had to pay his hospital bills. So all my vacation money.
Really?
No, because no pay, they won't. There's no rules about that here in the Philippines. You don't pay, you don't get medical help. So there was no choice.
You had to pay for that. Okay.
Yeah.
As you said, it was an experience.
Yeah. And then I wanted to come home, but there was a typhoon, and the typhoon actually struck the major ferry terminal head on, the place where I get a ship from one island to another. So because of the typhoon, all transportation, ferries and planes grounded, no ferry, no transportation for 3 to 4 days. So I
Come
got
on,
stuck.
really?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
an
Yeah.
experience.
Okay. You are at home. You are back. Okay.
But I'm back. Yeah,
Yeah.
back now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Anyway, okay, enough about me. Today's class, finally we can get started, is about TOEFL. I don't know how interested you guys are in TOEFL, but if you have any questions whatsoever, or anybody else who would like to join us, plenty of room in the class, anything at all, pick my brain, anything at all related to TOEFL or how it compares to IELTS or anything else, please just ask. But at this particular hour, today we'll introduce, and then we're going to do a lot of practice the next consecutive 3 days at this specific hour. We'll practice the actual questions, and I will show you. Basically, unlike IELTS, TOEFL wants a very patterned, structured, uh, um, narrow kind of almost scripted answer. IELTS wants you to be all over the place. Really, it's much more free-flowing. TOEFL is much more kind of narrow in what they need you to do or want you to do. So that's the big difference. The other obvious big difference between IELTS and TOEFL, IELTS is not timed. One section of the test is timed. You need to speak monologue for 2 minutes, but the rest is not timed. As opposed to the TOEFL exam, the speaking test is all timed. You have different parts of the test, but first 2 questions, 15 seconds preparation time, 45 seconds answer, and then the next 2 questions, 30 seconds prep, 1 minute answer, then 20 seconds prep, the next 2 questions, 20 seconds prep, 1 minute answer. So everything is very, very strictly timed, and you obviously need to take that into account. Let me welcome Turkey?
Yes, Turkey.
Turkey. Okay. Hi.
Hi,
Welcome.
how are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Are you thinking about taking the TOEFL exam?
I took it before, the IBT. It
Yeah,
was
IBT.
evil. It
It
was
was
evil.
evil. Okay. Here's another important point you have to know about the TOEFL IBT. Turkey's absolutely correct. It is evil.
Yes, like 2 hours and between.
Yeah.
After 1 hour, you have just 10 minutes and you see the screen counting, and just you have 10 minutes to get something to drink or something, but it was very difficult, yes.
Okay. It was evil. Okay. How did you do? You don't have to give me a score, but how did you do comparatively? Did you reach your goal? Were you a little under your goal? Did you higher than your expectations?
I get 54. 54.
Okay.
I don't know how I get that, but okay, it's because before the exam, my car break down and many things happened to me before the exam.
Like my vacation. Okay.
Like a nightmare that day, yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's it. Okay. Yeah. All right. It was a nightmare. All right. That's highly believable. Okay. For those who don't know, again, anybody who has any questions at all, I tend to talk a lot when I'm doing one of these, introducing one of these exams, so please interrupt me. Don't be shy. All right. Basics of the exam, as I kind of spelled out, there are 6 questions. The entire test takes roughly 20 minutes. Again, you're sitting, as Turkey pointed out, in front of a TV screen. It's all computerized. You've got a headset and microphone. Everything is timed. You see, like he said, the countdown timers are used. You can't miss it, really. So you know exactly how much time you have at all times. 6 questions. The first 2 are what they call independent questions. It's just a question, and you answer it. That's it. 45 seconds to speak. So you don't have a whole lot of time. In this exam, there's more balance. In IELTS, you can be redundant. You know, say the same thing over. You can give. You can tell a story so as to support your opinion or to emphasize a description. You can do a lot more. But TOEFL, the average person speaks roughly 8 sentences per 1 minute at a normal average kind of pace. And of course, obviously, there's short sentences and longer sentences, but basically on average. That doesn't give you a whole lot of time. When you have 45 seconds to speak, that's only 6 sentences, 6, 7 sentences maybe. 1 minute to speak. You know, you're trying to use complex sentences to help your scoring, so you're going to be speaking long sentences. That's maybe 8 sentences. So you don't have a lot of time to go off on any side trails or you can't really be redundant. You have to be quite direct. Efficient, maybe the word. Okay. Question, Turkey. When you took the exam,
Yes.
Did it bother you? Were there other people blah 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 talking on your
Yes,
left?
yes, of course, in the speaking section.
Yeah.
Because we have the we start at in the exact time, the whole students in the class, like computers, and we have cameras, and the teacher outside the room, and you like a checkpoint before you enter that room. Many things. Okay, that's experience. It's different. But when you start the speaking section, yes, because you hear a lot of people next to you and behind you, they are speaking. Some of them in the loud, and that's make you unfocused sometimes. Yes, and that's bother any students there. Yes.
It can distract you. So okay, here's
distract you. It's of course distract you. Yeah.
That's right. So keep that in mind. Anyone preparing for this exam, IELTS, you're in a separate room. You in the interlocutor, the interviewer. There's no real distractions. But the TOEFL exam, okay, there's going to be people taking the exam in front of you, behind you, all around you. So
yes.
You should somehow figure out how to practice talking when other people are talking and staying focused.
Maybe if you prepare to take IBT, you must practice at the cafe and the noisy.
There you go, cafe, the internet cafe. Exactly.
Yes.
It's great if you're a customer service agent. If that's your job, then you practice every day. But if you're not, you might need to practice this. Okay, well that's one major point.
I think it's most important thing about IBT exam. It's the time, because you must have you must manage your time very well, because you don't have many time and you can't take a lot of notes. You can't take notes sometimes. You have the paper, you have the pen, but at the time it's difficult. And yes, it's. You must prepare well. You must prepare well before that, especially IBT exam. I think it's most difficult TOEFL exam, because I think there are like 4 type of TOEFL exam, and IBT one of them, and we have another type. But IBT, I think it's most difficult one.
Yeah, and most everyone is phasing to the IBT. There's another kind of written pencil paper one. which I never hear about anybody taking anymore. Most people take the IBT, and yes, I highly recommend that you need not days, not even weeks to study, months. Again, any of these tests, Pearson, Longman, CAE, IELTS, TOEFL, TOEIC, whatever. All of these tests, in my humble opinion, as a teacher of English, they're about half about your English skills. And the other half is understanding how to take the test, what exactly they want from you, what they're scoring specifically, how to take the test is what you really
Yes,
need to learn.
I agree completely. It's about techniques, not about. I know a lot of students, they don't speak English very well and not fluent in English, but they prepare like techniques like okay, and they get higher score than students. They speak fluent English, and sometimes they don't do well at the exams. I think it's centralized around techniques more than anything else.
I would agree. And so you have to know exactly how you're going to attack not only each section, speaking, listening, reading, writing, but each type of question, like each type of speaking question, each type of reading question, each type of listening, each type of writing. You really basically have to learn how you're going to attack each types of question. Another thing going along, again, all these speaking tests, that people don't really do when they study, but they should, learn the tricks, learn the traps. All of these stinking tests, all of these nightmares, they specifically are trying to trick you or trap you. There are trap answers that aren't quite right. There are ways that they try to trick you. So recognizing these tricks, especially in reading or listening, recognizing these tricks or knowing exactly what kind of template you're going to use for writing and speaking. These are really, really important things. I forgot, Hogan, I can't remember, did you ever take IELTS or TOEFL or any of the TOEIC or any of these exams?
Yes, I took TOEFL very long time ago. At the time, it was written exam, and at the time there is no speaking test as well. So I only
Right.
use a pen and paper. And the year before last year, I think I tested TOEIC just for testing my English skill, not for applying for job. Yeah, but I don't think it doesn't have any speaking test as well. So.
It can or it cannot. TOEIC has the one with speaking and the one without speaking. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't choose the speaking test. I only written exams.
The TOEIC test is weird. It's like you have to know customer service English.
Yeah, it's kind of business English. So
kind of business English. Kind of.
Yeah. Kind of.
Yeah, it's a little different. Rebecca, have you taken any of these standardized English tests before?
Well, yes, I've taken, but years ago, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Fond memories? Okay. No, probably not. All right. Okay, before we continue, well, the next thing I want to continue with, actually, I want to screen share something and talk about the actual scoring. First of all, overall, the TOEFL IBE exam, 4 sections. Each section has a maximum score of 30 points, so maximum points on the IBT is 120. That would be perfect. Nobody on earth gets 120, so you know. Okay, now there's 2 kinds of scores you talk about when you're talking about your TOEFL score. There's your raw score and your scaled score. The 30 points is your scaled score. You start with a raw score. For example, there's 2 parts of writing. Each one is worth a maximum of 5 points. They can give you 3.5, for example. And so there's 2, that's a total of 10 points, and then it's scaled to reach 30. The speaking test has 6 questions. Each one, a perfect score on one question would be 4. 4 times 6 is 24. If for a perfect raw score, that gets scaled to 30. How they scale this exam, you got me. That's privileged information for the company, from the company. It has to do with the number of students who've answered these questions and how they scored in previous attempts, previous students' previous attempts. It has to do with that, and somehow they scale that as to degree of difficulty, how much previous students struggled with it, or how easy it was, how easy or hard. Again, so it's really impossible to explain exactly how they scale it. You can guess, but you're guessing. Your guess is as good as mine, as the expression goes. But we can talk about raw score. So, all right, let me show you a little something about the TOEFL speaking scoring rubric. Okay, 4 out of 4 is a perfect score. Okay, now the IELTS exam has 4 scoring parts. TOEFL, here they are. You have 3, really. Okay, they are content. Obviously, content, what you actually say, the meaning of what you say. Delivery, how you say it. Language. Now, interestingly, language basically is the vocabulary and the grammar. Notice your actual use of English language in the speaking exam is only worth 1/3 of your points. So your actual use of English is really only 1/3. Okay, let's look at how to get a perfect score. First of all, content. Well, obviously answers to questions. Well, duh. Okay, includes 2 to 3 points of support. Everything that you say has to include 2 to 3 points of support, especially in the first 2 questions, which are independent questions, a preference question and a choice question. So you have to, that's your opinion, whatever something, a group of things you prefer, which one do you prefer, or making choices, that's your opinion on that choice. So you have to support that choice with 2 or 3 points. In this exam, it's actually probably better to choose 2 points and give more detail to support those 2 points rather than 3 points, just say the point but no detail. Again, you're fighting the clock. It's all about time management. So you're certainly not going to get 4 or 5 points in. That's just physically impossible. Okay, next major point, uses clear transitions between ideas. Okay, you're using called different things. These transitions, sometimes called transitionals, discourse markers, connectives, signal words and signal phrases, however you want to talk about them. These are very, very important on basically any standardized tests, not just TOEFL. These are very, very, they're always scored in all of these speaking tests, and they're always very important in the scoring. So things like when you give my opinion, in my opinion, from my point of view, the way I see it, well, what I really think is something like that. When you make a point, first of all, first off, to begin with, you use sentences or phrases rather of this nature. You're giving a contrasting view. Then you say on the other hand, or however, or more simple connective like but, yet. Okay. Things like this are extremely, extremely important. Not only does it help in obviously the area of your content and organizing, making your ideas clear and organized. It also shows vocabulary range. If you use different ones, it also helps you to form more complex sentences. You don't have to think about the grammar. It just naturally happens when you use these structures. You're going to create a more complicated sentence. You're bound to. You have to. So it helps other areas as well. Also, it helps delivery, because when we use words, introductory words like actually, what I really think is, notice my pitch change, my tone changes in my voice. Honestly, I've never thought about that, but I guess I would have to say, all right, notice whenever I use actually or but, I raise my pitch to kind of make it known to the listener that I'm changing or introducing an idea. It's natural, so it really affects all areas, the idea of using these connectives and transitionals. Is organized well? Well, that goes along with the transitionals. Delivery for a perfect score. Speech is fluent and sustained, no hesitations. No if it's perfect, there's no pauses, no repetition, no self-correction, and no filler. Words like or minimal. One or two ums or ahs are okay. Self-correction, correcting what you're saying it again. I just did it. That's okay. What I just did. A little bit of redundancy or a correction to change the content is acceptable. Corrections to change the grammar, something like that, that's not so good. Speech is clear. Effective use of stress, intonation, rhythm, that's what I was talking about a little earlier. Blending, okay, that blending has to do with joining words together in a sentence. Okay, there may be small problems with pronunciation, but they don't affect comprehension. In other words, you can get a perfect score in the TOEFL exam even though you have an accent. If you have a slight accent which affects your pronunciation, it's more about delivery. It's all about how the person scoring your test, how much do they have to concentrate to understand you. If they can effortlessly understand everything you're saying, then you're going to do just fine in delivery. If they really have to focus on every word you say and really focus on what you're saying, and sometimes they can't understand a phrase, that's when it starts to affect your score and delivery. And language is grammar and vocabulary. All right, effectively uses a variety of grammatical structures. What we mean here is basically three different things. Verb tenses. You just basically need to show that you can use two different verb tenses in a sentence. You need to show sentence types, compound sentence, complex sentence, simple sentence, compound, complex. Show that you can use a mix. Variety is important here. Of different types of actual sentence constructions, and if you can, to show other special cases, relative clauses, conditional sentences, reported speech, these types of things. Which is again, it's a major challenge to do so, again, given the time constraints and the very, very narrow, almost templated response that is required. This is a challenge for native speakers, really. Advanced vocabulary, this doesn't necessarily mean great, big, giant 18-syllable words. More natural expressions and collocations, words that go together. He took a nasty fall. Okay, he's a heavy smoker. Heavy smoker. These are the collocation, adjective, noun that just goes together. Verbs and object nouns, things like this. Words that are related to the topic you're discussing. Appropriate to the topic words. Okay, language is automatic. It's quite obvious when students are trying to think of the word, and to native speakers. Okay, again with the idea of how much does the scorer have to, how hard does he have to listen? Minor errors, things like articles or not properly conjugating a verb or wrong preposition or something like that, a native speaker can kind of skip over that. It doesn't really affect comprehension, and you can get away with that and still get a perfect score. So really all this stuff has to do with, you can boil it down to how hard does the scorer or the judge have to work to understand you. That's basically it. 3 is a little less, a few more mistakes. Just looking at, I'm going to skip down to 2. Okay, so halfway down of the scoring, the raw score. What can, just to give you an idea of the kinds of things that can get you in trouble in the TOEFL exam. Connected to task, but quite limited in development. You make a point, but you don't. Basically, you're giving it like a templated response. Yeah, okay, if you could choose to live somewhere hot or somewhere cold, where would you choose? I would like to live somewhere where it was hot because, first of all, I really like to swim. And now, development means doing this. I think swimming is great exercise and it helps keep me fit. That is developing the point. If you don't do that, that's how you get a 2. Very templated. You make a point and you make another sentence, either an example or just as a sentence explaining the why of your point, answering the question why. Do you like to swim, for example, in my case, in my example. That's it. Okay, another point, mostly basic ideas are given with limited support. That's actually saying the same thing. Points may be vague or repetitive. Again, you don't have time to repeat, and they don't like it. It's a major difference between IELTS and TOEFL. IELTS actually encourages you to restate and clarify, which is in fact natural English. It is very natural. We do this all the time. Clarify what we're saying. I'm doing it right now without even thinking about it. It's very natural for English speakers to clarify and use some redundant language. Not on the TOEFL exam. You don't have time for that, unfortunately, and as you can see, it knocks your score down, which personally I hate because it doesn't make sense. It's not what we really do in English. Connection between ideas may be unclear, okay? You're not using your transitionals and connectives enough, is what we're saying here. Okay, looking in the delivery, basically intelligible speech, listener effort needed. Again, what I keep talking about, how hard do they have to work? Due to choppiness or pronunciation issues. Meaning may be unclear in some areas. Some sentences just don't make sense. Again, in 2, for your actual vocabulary and grammar, limited range of vocabulary and grammar. For example, the test taker only speaks in simple sentences or only can speak present tense, has real problems with the past or with the future construction or with perfect tenses or something like that. Okay. Only simple sentences are spoken fluently. Anything more compound or complex sentences or trying to use relative clauses or any more complex sentence structures, there's a mistake in every single one. That's where you're looking at it too. Okay, well, it says the same thing. Student relies on simple sentences. Yeah, using basic connections. such as listing. Okay, listing, not good in this exam. Not really good, not good in IELTS exam either. Not a good idea to just list things. It's okay to do once to show that you know how and to show you know proper listing intonation, but not so much a good idea to do it over and over through the test. Okay, and that's basically kind of the idea. The only way to get a 0, no response. Or response, you're talking about questions about dogs and you're talking about turnips. Really, it's impossible to get a 0 unless you're speaking gibberish. Anyway, that's basically the idea of how the scoring is done. Any questions about that? Who does the magical scoring? I don't know, elves. The Toefl elves. Okay. Keeping in mind the general ideas of how the scoring is done, I'd like to share with you now some basic tips for the speaking test, and probably some of these are any speaking test, IELTS, so forth, TOEIC, whatever. Tip number 1, okay, this is kind of silly, brainstorm well. Of course, you would not brainstorm badly. Would obviously be a bad tip. Okay, brainstorming ideas, especially the independent questions. Those are questions 1 and 2. We'll be practicing them tomorrow. You need to think quickly and creatively. You can practice this. Rebecca, do you know what free word association is? Let's try this.
Free. Say again. Free.
Free word association.
Yeah, free word
Right.
association. Try
Yeah.
using free word association to practice with a partner. Well, I guess connection words it could be.
No, it's like this. I'm going to give you a word, and you think of as many related words as you can, as fast as you can. All right. The word is cat.
Cat. Pet. Cat, pet, animal, you know, what else? Food cat, feed it up.
Okay. That's free word association. Practicing brainstorming. So, okay, cat. If you said cat to me, I might say feline, whiskers, mouse, meow, fur, pet, stroke, eat, yarn. Okay, they play with yarn. Bell. Okay, anything
Related, yeah.
anything related at all, wherever your mind takes you, but somehow related. You can. This seems kind of silly, maybe like a children's game, but it's actually a useful way to practice English. Not just for TOEFL, but it helps develop your linear thinking, your brainstorming ability. Let me try with the other guys here. Let me try one. Turkey. How fast can you brainstorm some words? Here's your word. 1, 2, 3. Here's your word. Ocean.
Ocean, sea, river, ship, storm, swimming, maybe a fish.
Okay.
Yes.
Great. Let me give Hogan a shot. Hogan?
Yes.
Ready? Here's your word. Truck.
Car, road, accident, luggage, road. Did I say road? And driver, traffic, violation, traffic signal.
Okay. See, that was good. That was really good. Okay, all those things come up at once. This is good to practice because for many reasons, in these exams, any of these exams, and for your general English skills, as I said, for linear thinking, but also more specifically in regards to these exams, they're looking for, you do have preparation time, and they are looking for vocabulary related to the topic. So this is a good way to do it. Also, in the reading exams, just as a side note, this also, believe it or not, will help reading, because what happens in the reading and the listening exams is you will hear or read one word, but the question will use a synonym or a synonymous phrase. This is one of their little tricky tricks. So by kind of practicing this brainstorming, this actually will help in that area of the exam as well. Once you practice this a little, the next step is to practice. If you remember, in the scoring we saw that collocations and common usages of the word, common phrases, are scored highly. So then the next step is to try free word association. Try to think of two words, like an adjective in a noun or an adverb in a verb. Okay, that's kind of the next step. Let's give that a quick try, actually. Rebecca, back to you. See if you can brainstorm two words. Okay, here's your word. Newspaper.
Newspaper. Okay, headlines, news. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, reader, audience, what? I don't know.
See, two words is a lot
Reporter,
trickier.
journalist, reporter, article, pictures, celebrities, politicians. Well,
Okay, okay. You're still doing one word. It's much harder to do two words. You know, like
2 words. You just told me 2 words. I need to say 2 words.
two words together, like staff reporter. Okay, sidebar column.
Headlines.
Business section. Headlines. Okay, that's a compound noun. It's really one word.
Okay.
Yeah. That's why I started laughing when you said headlines. Well, it's two words, but it's one word at the same time.
Actually, it's 1 word, yes. So, but I didn't understand you at the beginning.
Right.
You know, I thought just
Right.
some words related to the word. Okay.
Right. See, I'm trying to demonstrate that the next way to practice, and a good way to practice even general English, free word of association, the next step after trying to just think of single words, try to think of collocated words. You know, I don't know, newspapers, all right, sports column, for example, staff reporter, business section. Okay.
Business section is okay. Culture section, does exist?
What what?
Culture section.
Culture. Oh yeah, in some papers, yeah. Arts and culture sometimes. Sometimes
Culture by, you know, cinemas, art, museums. I don't know if the same meaning in English.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
Some newspapers have that, like I think New York Times has that, and some do not. Some have just entertainment section, and then they include culture, arts.
Entertainment section, yeah, okay, it's easier, yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, okay. The idea again, just being trying to think of two words co-located is just a little bit more challenging. Let me give the fellows a chance here. Turkey. Think of two words. Think if you can think of two words. Here's your one word: kitchen. Kitchen.
Okay, kitchen. Okay, kitchen. It's difficult, two words in kitchen, but
It
okay.
is.
Yeah. Two words in kitchen. Okay, one word it's more easier. But two words in kitchen. Kitchen, two words.
Yeah.
I really can't think kitchen.
Okay.
But I'm good with one word.
Yeah. Okay. See, this is giving your brain a workout. So this is a good, useful thing that's very simple to do to practice your English. And it really is useful because it helps you think of phrases. Bake a cake, frying pan, do the dishes. Okay, well, that's 3 words, but all right. Crack eggs. It helps you think of like verbs and object nouns. And
Sometimes it's like a sentence. I don't
yeah,
know.
yeah,
But okay, collocation is it's more important things than phrases. But
yeah,
actually, sometimes we don't focus on that. But yes,
yeah.
collocation help you to build a massive vocabulary.
That's right. Absolutely. Let me give Hogan a chance to give it a try.
Okay.
Okay. Let's see. Word am I gonna give you? Okay. Airport.
Terrible accident, angry passenger, and
Excellent.
high security.
Excellent.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, that's good. Okay, that was great. Good example. Terrible accident. Oh my goodness. Scary, but excellent co-locations. Those words go together. That's the idea. All right. Okay. Let's look at some other points here before we got to end the class. It's okay to lie. Yes, it is okay. Now, I do so only as a last resort. I would, if you're a really good liar, go ahead and lie. Some people are terrible liars. Then you really should avoid it. Frankly, this is totally, yes, it's perfectly okay. No one's going to fact check you. If you're a good liar, go ahead and lie. If you're not, then don't, because you're not going to be good at it on the test either. Okay, keep your notes short and organized. As Turkey said earlier, you only have 15 seconds. Well, in the first 2 questions. You'll be lucky if you can write down 10 words. You don't have time to write full sentences. Just keywords. That goes in with the brainstorming that we're doing. This is an excellent piece of advice, number 4 here. Keep your introductions brief. You have to get right to the meat of the question. Absolutely. Again, due to the time constraints. Maybe 10 seconds to introduce, 1 sentence to introduce what you're going to say. I've seen many students make this mistake. They're 30 seconds in and they haven't even gotten to the actual question yet. They're just kind of introducing. You got to get right to it. Efficiency. Efficient. Unlike IELTS and unlike CAE and many of these exams, this exam is really about it's really about efficiency of language. Being clear with the most, fitting everything into that 1 minute. All right, give 2 to 3 examples. Okay. If you give 2 main details, they should be very strong answers that hold a lot of information. Yes, and that's better than 3, really. Okay, use transitions. This is a must. Any of these exams. Any. And not just these stinking exams, in a job interview. Explaining a product to a potential customer in English doesn't matter. In reality, to communicate in English, you're going to be clearer if your answers are well organized using, first of all, for example, well, in my opinion, in conclusion, using these kinds of transitionals or connectives is going to make you more easily understood. Not just these tests, in real life. Just don't overuse them. Well, I don't know how you can, really. Oh, okay. Don't use the same ones over and over. You really can't overuse them. I think this needs explaining. I don't think here this means don't use too many transitionals. Don't use the same ones. You need to learn a variety of these. I would suggest, again, anybody learning English, not just test takers. Okay. Yeah. All right.
I just quick
Detailed.
question.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Can you use like a filler word like or like or something like that. So is it okay to use that in the words?
Good question. Well, let's see. Actually, for effect there. Actually, it's okay. I mean, you don't have time to do those long hesitation device filler sentences, you know? Well, actually, I've never really thought about that before, but if I had to give my opinion, I guess I would have to say, you do not have time for that. Absolutely not. You know,
Okay.
no way. But saying something like, well, I guess I would choose to live in a hot climate country. That's okay. Yes, and it's natural English. It's colloquial, and yes, that's perfectly okay, and it's actually a good thing.
Okay. Right.
Okay, so to answer your question, yes and no. Yeah. Okay. Spend 10 to 15 seconds on each point. Well, yeah, more or less. Keep it conversational. Okay, yeah. You do not want to sound like a professor or like you're reading an essay. You want to sound like you're talking to your friend. That's the kind of English, natural collocations, colloquial expressions like, well, that's good. So there you go. This is kind of answering your question there, Hogan. Well, yeah, it's okay to do that. Here's an interesting piece of advice, and very good. If you naturally gesture a lot when you speak, if you move your arms around and move your head around and tilt your head and all that kind of thing as you're speaking, naturally, even your native language, then please do it on the exam, whatever makes you feel better. They're not actually videotaping you. Ignore the people around you. Forget it. It actually helps you to concentrate. You might even try closing your eyes. That may help you, or may not. I think that's kind of an individual type thing. Conclusions are mostly unnecessary. That's absolutely true. In fact, in this entire test, if you get cut off, but it's very obvious what you were going to say because you were so well organized, you can still get a perfect score on that question. Conclusions are useful if you've run out of things to say and you still see you have 8 to 12 seconds left. Well, that's basically time enough for one more sentence. So you can give a conclusion, or basically restating your first sentence, your introductory sentence. Yeah, you basically, in this exam for Toefl, you're using conclusions as a filler at the end to fill out your time. Again, okay, as I just said, in this exam, you probably will get cut off. It's not that big a deal. Okay, well, hopefully, if anyone out there is taking the Toefl exam, you've picked up a point or two. Okay, I've got to go. Got another class to get to. Out of time. Thank you very much, Rebecca, Hogan, Turkey, wherever you are. Thanks a lot, and see you again in an hour or so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. See you
Bye-bye.
later. Bye bye.